You're the one saying those type of things.
They can't hear him. They can only hear you.
You guys, you want to know what Jarrell said? Well, the best idea is just to remain quiet and not say anything.
I need a haircut.
Dude.
This is getting pretty rough. I just looked at myself on my camera.
It's bad. It's bad.
It's like a little split down the middle sometimes. It's crazy. Not good. You tried to go. Shh. You tried, but it didn't work. Shh. I hope that's live. That'd be fun. Are you gonna join us?
Whoa.
A little crack in my voice.
You all right there?
Who knows? I don't know. I may have the COVID.
Man,
That was funny. I'm sorry. Forgive me.
Hey, welcome to ACC Talk. My name is Jarrell.
Hey, we're live.
I'm Rob. And that's Dave that's already said some things he probably shouldn't have said today.
Oh, there's a very long moment of us just hanging out together.
Yes. I warned you.
You did, and I behaved.
I warned you.
I was good.
Okay.
Dave,
So,
maybe not.
My name's Dave.
I already introduced you.
alrighty. So Dave has thought about a really good idea. We want to talk about first cars today. What was your first car? Put it in the comments.
Hey, I want to see a picture too.
Yeah,
like
that'd be good.
Google that thing. I want to see a photo of what your first
You
car was.
will get bonus points if you're in that picture. All right?
I don't have a picture of me with my first car.
I don't either.
That was way before the cell phone days.
That was for me. It was back like you actually put real film in the camera.
Oh,
I thought you were going to say in your car. Alrighty. So, what was yours? What was your first car? Put it in the comments. Don't be lame. Comment.
What was yours?
I'm pulling it up, and I'm going to put it in the comments. But it was a 99 Camry. Gifted
99 Camry.
by my mother.
Man, what a good mom.
can you put it in the comments?
What
Maybe.
color was it?
We'll find a way.
Did you say gold?
No, it wasn't gold. It was more like a dark sand tan, like a
Tan.
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 We'll go with tan.
What was yours?
A little
Toyota-
bit, a little
Toyota
bit darker,
tan.
a little bit darker than this.
Nice. How long did you have it for?
Do you know this story?
Maybe.
I don't know this story, so
So I think I've said this on a few occasions. So my mom gave me her 99 Camry. Josie and I got married a few months later. I hydroplaned on the highway into the back of a semi.
into the
Told that
back of a semi.
Told it was
Oh my
parked
gosh.
in the middle of the highway. So to be fair,
This
the semi hydroplaned too, and then I guess he was like whatever, and so he literally put it in park and just stayed there. And so I'm hydroplaning what felt like for 30 minutes. That's what it felt like, and I'm just like honking, and I'm like, move, and he wouldn't. And then I'm just like, you're slowing down. It wasn't like dramatic by any means. It was like you're slowing down, but you're still going fast enough that you're gonna hit it. And so, boom, hit it. They total it, and blessings totaled $9,000. We took a very small honeymoon. Like there was people that
was it South Carolina?
Myrtle Beach. Well,
north. Is that north or south?
we were in North Carolina first. I think at like Crystal Beach. Josie, you could probably. Crystal doesn't sound right.
She's at the beach right now. She doesn't know.
She is at the beach right now. But we, after we were in that beach house for like a couple days, we went down to Myrtle Beach and hung out and blah, blah, blah. So once we totaled the car, we upgraded. We bought cruise tickets and we went to the Caribbean and it was fire.
And they walked anywhere else
Alrighty.
after that.
So
First-
Tammy had a Mustang. Heather had a Chevy Beretta. Leslie Moore had a Dodge Shadow. Whitney jumped in. He was just here. You guys missed him. A 1967 Ford Mustang Fastback with a Shelby body kit. Was
Nice. Why didn't you
I don't
still have
believe
that,
that.
Whitney?
First of all, that's like that's a 6-digit car right now. I don't know if I believe him. And then Alan had a 81 Toyota Corolla Tercel. Alyssa Kelly had a red Kia Rio. And Lenny had a 72 gold Chevy Nova.
Red Mustang, man. Ballin'.
What was yours, Dave?
I had a 69 Buick Skylark 4-door. It was great. Someone had started restoring the car. So they had like sanded off all the rust and started to put primer on it and then stopped. And then I bought
So
it.
it's just like Primer Gray?
So it was a mix.
Oh,
There were parts that were primer gray and parts that were hunter green. The brakes were not great, which for a teenager was not the best circumstances.
Did you ride it hard?
There were some moments where took some pretty sharp turns,
Oh,
going a little faster than I should have been, and my brother blew the engine up. So that was great.
That was nice.
If you're just joining us, put in the comments your very first car.
Mine was a, I can't remember if it was an 86 or an 87 VW Fox.
Foxy.
Fox.
When you first told me this, I was like, I didn't even know that was a thing.
Yeah, it's kind of like, think of a Jetta and make it even worse. It was like the economical, like cheap way to go. And so much so that on the passenger side, you didn't have a side mirror. It was just on the driver's side.
You don't need
two-door.
that.
You
You
don't
don't
need it. It's overrated. You don't need to see over there. And but no, it was pretty good. I had that until I got my second vehicle, which we still have, the truck.
Oh, the truck, the
red,
truck that will
Toyota,
never
the
die.
92 Toyota
What's up with all these Mustangs, man?
Mustangs, man. It's the dream. come
Shout out
Mustang
to my brother
convertibles.
John McGuire, who had a red Mustang convertible.
Man.
Sharon had a 92 Chevy Corsica. That was not the car
Corsica.
she was driving when we started dating. So
So
she had another vehicle by college.
So how long did you guys have your first cars?
I had that till I probably got it in like 92 from bought it off my dad. And then
92, wow.
92.
Wow.
I got it a little while ago, and then I got the truck probably around.
How long did you
90
keep it?
The car?
Yeah.
I kept it till I bought the truck
Oh, okay.
from my brother.
My car lasted for about
It's
2
like
years.
4 or 5 years I had that car
That's cool.
2 years.
and drove it everywhere.
Mm.
It was a pretty good car, actually.
Mm-hmm.
It was pretty reliable. And then I got the Toyota pickup.
That
We
is
still have it.
Still
Still got
have
it. 92. And so what is that? 28 years old, something like that. Is that right?
Yes. It's a long
How do you feel that you're older than the 28-year-old truck?
Well, I know I'm older than the 28-year-old truck.
Oh, my goodness. All right. Well, like I say, put your car in the comment, maybe even how long you had it. See if you can beat my 3 months. My mom had it for my mom paid it off.
So it was a 99, but what year did you get it from your mom?
Oh, 2006?
So, nice car.
Yeah.
Nice.
No, the plan was Josie had a car and I had a car, and we were going back to college, and so we were like, we don't need 2 cars. We didn't
Well, you
want to
took care of
carry-
that.
It's like we didn't want to carry the insurance on it, so we were thinking, maybe we'll sell one. And I don't know which one we would have picked because she had an Oldsmobile, and her car was super reliable too.
Toyota.
But the Lord made that choice for us.
I'm not going to go that far.
All right, cool. So today we are kind of wrapping up our series where we were talking about big faith and a big mission, and now we're just going to talk about a big God. And so I know that especially in this time, it can be really easy with all of the craziness going on in the world to wonder where God is. And if God is so big and God is so powerful, why in the world, does it feel like he is gone? Why does it feel like he is maybe asleep at the wheel? And so what we want to do today is we just want to kind of encourage you in the ways that we are seeing God move and what we think. And we're not prophets, but what we think he's kind of up to. And so, Rob, how do you kind of answer that? Where is God at? If God's so big, where is he at in the midst of, Corona, in the midst of unemployment, maybe sickness and fear and doubt? Where do you feel like?
I think part of what you got to do is you look at that. You got to address the piece of, it's a little bit of human nature in this, of when something's going wrong, we want to blame somebody. And so I think my first challenge to anybody that wants to kind of say, well, where's God and why is he doing this? Why is he letting this happen? Is how quick are you when things are good to give God the credit? Because so often when things are good, we're going to take the credit for ourselves. And like, oh, I'm doing good. I'm making things happen. And so I think a lot of times maybe somebody that doesn't believe in God, in these times they say, see, it's a reason not to, but then they're also not giving God credit in the good time. And so I was like, I look at the whole situation, and I'm not sitting there in any way, shape, or form saying God's allowing this to happen, God made this happen, but God's definitely working. We live in a world where we have the freedom to choose. God says, you get to choose. Do you want to obey me or not obey me? Do it my way or not my way? And from pretty much almost day one, go back to Genesis chapter 3, the choice was made to do it our way, and at that point, the world became broken. And sin has consequences, and again, that's not that God's just sitting there like rubbing his hands together, smiling about it. But because he allows us to have choice and the freedom to choose whether to accept him, not to have faith, we also get to choose what actions we take, and those actions, again, have consequences. And so I think it's what we're experiencing is because we live in a broken world because of sin. But the hope we can have in a big God is the promise that it talks about that in all things God works together for the good. That it's really hard in the middle of something to see it. It's kind of like a photograph. You hold it close to your face. It's blurry. You get away from it. You might be able to see clearer the bigger picture of what it is. And so I think we just have to trust, and even as hard as that can be when people lose jobs, people get sick, even unfortunately people are dying, that God is still in control. This is a part of a broken world, but that we can trust that ultimately he is good. And we also, I think the piece I would try to encourage people with is this time is so short compared to eternity.
For sure. So, Dave, one of my favorite worship songs is Waymaker, and in that bridge is, even when I don't see it, you're working. Maybe when was a time that God showed up in a big way in your life that maybe in the moment of the trial and the hardship that you were going through, you didn't really notice it, but you got a few weeks or months or years out that you noticed that, like, man, God was big and he was working even when it seemed like he was silent?
Well, so we just had a baby in October, little Matilda. Many people don't know that our road leading up to this child was not easy. We actually started trying to have another child a couple years before that. And all of our other kids, like, we had them right away, no problems, no concerns. But along the way of us trying to have our last child, we actually had a couple of miscarriages. It was really tough, and in the middle of it, you're just like, because we felt like God. The reason that we started trying again is I really felt like God had put another kid in our hearts, like that our family wasn't done yet. And I can say that in the midst of that, and for me, and they certainly hit my wife a lot harder than they hit me, but there's that side of it where you're in the middle of it, and I'm trying to console my wife and trying to walk through this and trying to figure out how I'm supposed to feel, and just like, where's God? Like, where are you at? Like, I felt like you gave us this desire. You put this in our hearts. I don't believe it was just from me. I don't think it was a bad burrito from Taco Bell the night before. Why is it not working out? But now that we're on the other side, and even Matilda, like, when she first came out, like, I'm standing in the delivery room and everything seems to be all right, and then all of a sudden it's not, and they are bringing doctors in, and like, nurses are freaking out. They're taking her away from me. They're putting her down, trying to work through all this stuff. And then all of a sudden we're going to the NICU. And now on the other side of it, like we're outside of that and we're looking at everything and we're like, this is, first of all, this was the place that we believe that God wanted us to have another kid. He wanted us to be settled, wanted us to be in a place that we were going to be for a while. And I think he was just looking out for us. He's just providing a way, not that the miscarriages were a part of his plan, but that he could see it's kind of like Google Maps. Like when you're driving down the road, you can only see what's in front of you, but God has this like Google Maps view of our lives where he can see it from the top, and he knows everything that's coming, and he sees everything that's going on. And so that's definitely a situation where I feel like God just really spoke to us that he's got it and he's taking care of it, and he followed through.
For sure. So I know this is going to sound, especially to someone who says, maybe I'm not sure if I believe yet, and maybe you're just investigating and you're exploring what it looks like to have faith, and it might even just sound like a cop-out. But the reality is God is doing things. His ways are so much higher. His thoughts are so much more loftier than our thoughts. And so the reality is we have no idea behind the scenes what he's doing, and what that requires for people that do believe is literal faith. And I think the one thing that I see that God moving in this time, especially when it's like in the time of tragedy and the times of people losing their jobs and unable to pay their mortgage, I think that this is one of the times that the church has been most alive. And you get to see the evidence of his grace and his mercy and his love fleshed out through his people, like the church being who the church should be. And so in this time period, like I just love, I hate the tragedy that is happening. But man, I feel like in these tragic moments, that's when I see the activity of God's people move so much more. And so anyways, with all that being said, that's the thing that encourages me about how good and how faithful and how big God is that when there's a problem or an issue, the church is there to step up and to help. And so I see the evidences of him, in this time rather than the absence of him when things are going crazy.
Yeah, and I love that, we gave 150 bags of groceries to families last week. Just an incredible gift, incredible thing to be a part of, and so thankful to see God's people just showing up and working and reaching out to their neighbors. And even though church online is not my favorite, like I love just being in the room with people, and I think God honestly does something special in the room when we gather together as people. But seeing friends that I have that I haven't seen in a long time, some of them are far from God, just jumping in to watch our streams. And when you're watching our stream on Facebook and one of your friends starts watching, Facebook will let you know. And it's just really cool to see some of the people that are getting to hear the gospel or hear God's plan and vision for their life, even if it's just for a little bit, throughout all of this. And that it's a good reminder that even though it's not my favorite, even though it's not the way that I would choose, God is still working in the midst of it.
For sure. So what we'd love for you guys right now, especially if you have seen God moving in your life, if you've seen a big God moving in your life, we'd love for you to put that in the comments. But we're going to wrap up just with some final thoughts. Rob, if right now you are feeling afraid, you're feeling lonely, you're feeling like God is absent, what are some practical things that you can do, even if you're a Christian?
Yeah, I think obviously it depends where your faith is. If you're a Christian, I think obviously you want to surround yourself with as much God. We talked about this a few weeks ago in the message of really that concept of like consuming, get as much of God as you can. So whether that's listening to worship music, whether that's spending time reading, whether it's praying, whether it's even calling a friend that believes and saying, hey, can you pray for me, or can we just talk, whether it's over the phone, whether it's FaceTime, whether it's even, I love seeing the folks that are out like social distancing. They pull up in a parking lot or in driveways out on lawn chairs 6 feet apart. I mean, we're made to be in those type of relationships, and so I think obviously the ultimate relationship with is with the Lord, and so really seek out any of those. I think if you're somebody that's you're not sure, if you haven't come to that conclusion that you think God is real, I think you have an incredible opportunity right now to really experience church in a very non-threatening way. Church being online, a lot of places had that already, but now it's very intentional, especially like how we do it. We're trying to be very intentional when it comes to that. That you can watch. You don't even have to watch Sunday. You could watch today, and go back and watch. And I think that's an incredible chance that maybe God's just opening doors, in this situation, that you would be able to find that if you got questions, that's a great place to be. I think God loves it when we have questions, and even like the message this week, we looked at Gideon, and he's kind of questioning God, like, really? And it's not like God like slaps us around when we have a question. He's patient, and he just kind of walks you through that. And so I think you just got to be willing to be vulnerable to say, all right, God, I'm listening. And so whether it's online church, maybe it is picking up a Bible even in that spot and reading, starting the Gospel of John, a great place to start. But I think we got to take some steps towards God. He's right there. We just got to open up.
Cool. Dave?
Yeah, I mean, I absolutely agree. Consuming God, like just believing it. And it goes back to the theme, like God's a big God. And so we need to find the things that we need to do to remind ourselves that God's big, that he's in control, and that he's got this. Because I think, and it's really what I talked about in my message this past weekend, where when we let fear control us, we're forgetting how big our God actually is, and that he's probably already gotten there before us and already started to prepare the way before us before we can even see it. And so we just need to find those ways that remind us of who God is and allow us to see things as they really are. I think worship is a huge part of that, just spending time. And more than just worship, just spending time with God, because that's the best way that we get to know people, is by spending time with them, talking to them. And I think that's what we need to do.
That's
we
cool.
Need to spend time with God.
Yeah, I would say for me, especially if you're already a Christian, you've given your life to the Lord, man, I think it's so easy in isolation to focus on what you're going through. And I believe 100% with what you're going through is bad. But if we dwell on those moments, man, it just feels like, anxiety and loneliness, they just multiply when we focus on it. And so if you're already a Christian, I would just encourage you, in whatever way that you're able, to get outside of your particular problem or your stress, and to try to help a neighbor, or when the church does something like the food drive, to help and be a part of that. Man, that can in so many ways, take your mind off of, what you're going through, and it helps someone else. And obviously always to the ability that you're able to, especially if you're laid off from your job and your mortgage is due. We're not saying do more, but we are saying definitely, sometimes it helps to not focus on your problems and try to help other people with their problems. And then I would say if you're a non-believer, yeah, absolutely. Take this time to figure out for yourself internally, is this real? Is it fake? Do your research, read your Bible, talk to your Christian friends, and in this, seek out God, and I believe that you'll find him. All right.
I think it's good.
All right. Well, thank you guys so much for joining us for ACC Talk this week.
Join us on Sunday. We will be doing communion, so make sure you get some elements ready for that.
Also, tune in a little bit early. So we're going to be sending out an email about this, but we have something for your kids pre-service.
Yeah.
And so if you have kids, make sure you're jumping on about 15 minutes before we start service, and we have a special service just for them.
It's going to be good.
Very cool. All right. Well, you guys have a great day, and we will see you guys later.
Is he going to turn it off from the phone?
Banana.
Is that how this works?
Banana. Shut down. Copyright.